Good news for all you meatball fans. Italian ships are starting to appear in our ports for testing. All the cruisers are there. And in addition to that, I've got a tier 10 destroyer to preview. The Paolo Emilio. And I know my wife is very happy about these ships because she's Italian. And she loves all things Italian. Me, I'm a little more indifferent. But I share her joy for things Italian. Especially the country of Italy, which I've been to quite a few times and absolutely love. So first, let's talk about the stats of this tier 10 Italian destroyer. The Paolo Emilio has 28,200 hit points when you use Survivability Expert. This thing is made to last. Your artillery, you have 4 dual 135mm guns. Now, one thing to remember on these ships is that they don't have HE. They have a new form of shell called SAP. They've got SAP and AP. SAP is somewhat like AP, but a little different. It's not as hard hitting. Don't let that dissuade you from using it though, because I have found that SAP is almost just as good as AP, and really I have found no reason to switch to AP in most circumstances. Reload on these guns is going to be 5.5 seconds when you're using BFT and main battery mod 3. For your torpedoes, you have 3 quadruple tubes, and these are in an interesting layout. You've got one in the center and then one on the port and one on the starboard. They also reload pretty quickly as well. However, these torpedoes are not going to be your primary offensive weapon. They have a 12-kilometer range, but unfortunately, they're a tad slow, 51 knots. You actually run the risk of catching up to these if you're using speed boost. While they have a max damage of 13,000, really I haven't seen that happen yet against battleships. Mostly, they've been doing 5,000 damage, and that's pretty weak. Again, these are not your primary offensive weapon. Your primary offensive weapon is going to belong to your main guns. Maneuverability on the Paolo is going to be 45.7 knots with Sierra mics. You have an 810 meter turning radius and a rudder shift of 4.2 seconds. Your concealment is 7.1 kilometers when using Concealment Expert and Concealment System Mod 1. So let me give you my initial thoughts of the Paolo. It's a fun destroyer and it's very different from anything we have right now. It's interesting because maneuverability wise, I feel like the Italian cruisers handle a lot better than this ship. This ship seems a little sluggish for a destroyer, but that's okay. You don't have to be very nimble in this ship because you've got some very, very hard-hitting guns. In fact, these guns using SAP do absolute havoc against other destroyers. In fact, they do really good against battleships as well. You're able to take chunks of 5,000 and 6,000 HP off of battleships with your SAP. Honestly, I really haven't used AP a lot. I just haven't. I've switched to it a couple times, but I really found no difference using AP versus using SAP. The durability of this ship is also really good. I did a stress test where I decided to charge a Minotaur just because, and the Minotaur bounced a lot of its shells against my hull, while I was able to do some significant damage with my SAP, rolling damage of 5,000 hit points per salvo. I imagine if I was even closer, I probably would have been able to nail a fair amount of citadels. So this ship offers something very, very different. Something that's not only good against other destroyers, but it's going to be also really good against cruisers and battleships. And that's something we have in destroyers, but primarily using HE. This is able to do it with SAP and AP. Smoke on the ship is kind of more like, I'd say the British smoke. It puffs out quick and it doesn't last a long time, but it does the trick and it keeps you concealed when you need to be concealed. I've got much more testing to do in this ship, but right now, I'm liking how different it is. It's unique. It's a gunboat, but it's not your average gunboat. It's a highly versatile gunboat. I think people that like going after targets other than destroyers and gunboats are going to enjoy this ship a lot. And it's nice that you're not limited to just sitting and spamming HE. You can do meaningful heavy damage with your SAP and your AP, which is pretty cool in my opinion because honestly, I'm getting tired with all these HE ships that are being introduced to the game right now. So if you're in a cruiser, I'd be wary of the Paolo Emilio if you see it hanging around. because this ship can do significant damage against you if you're caught broadside, and even if you're not caught broadside, you just need to be wary of it. I'm looking forward to playing this ship a lot more and seeing what else I can do with it, but I can tell you right now, I think this is going to find a fair amount of fans. It's a neat ship. It's decent looking. It's got the nice little Barbasol barber stripes on the front. However, it is kind of stubby looking. That's the best way I can describe it. Stubby. But, you know what? Don't hold its looks against it. This ship is very, very capable. It can take a beating, and that's a good thing. Anyhow, this was a preview of the Paolo Emilio Tier 10 Italian destroyer. You should put this on your radar. No pun intended. Anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you all later. Zoop out.